Okay, it's been about 10.5 or 11 months. I've been riding the Quiver Nemesis ski on the Yeti spindle, Yeti 129 SS rear track kit. And so I've got actually probably after this ride I'll have 1,000 miles on it and 34 rides. So I have had a lot of time to reflect on the performance of the ski, so I'm just doing an updated review. Okay, for starters, my impressions haven't changed much at all in the year of riding, in that it is a really confidence-inspiring ski and holds amazing line. Even on this crusty stuff here, it's pretty much wherever you point it, it goes. And which is quite amazing. It's just like a rock hard surface, and the ski just knifes along, kind of like an ice skate. All right, here's a side hill, melt freeze crust on top. Going up, you can go down. Let me take it up the slope at an angle. Pretty much exactly where I aimed it. Now I'm going to go down this steeper slope, using a little brake right now. And you can see there the track. Okay, you can see the track I just put in. How about half the track is actually touching the surface, and then the ski, you can see where I turned here, just dug in perfectly. Okay, since the last review, sadly, one of the creators of the ski passed away in an avalanche, and his name was Rock Creek Rick, and so he passed away a couple months ago. And he was basically, two guys were the main creators of the ski, and he was one of the main founding members. So I'm gonna have just a quick moment of silence in remembrance of Rick. Yeah, so Rick, such enthusiasm from Rick in creating the ski, just kind of some old-fashioned hardcore engineering, where you just have an idea, put it on there, get the ski out, ride it like hell, decide how it handles, go back to the drawing board, make a few changes. And amazingly, these two guys developed the ski that the other bigger industry skis, with all of their engineers and people working on it, and these two guys alone, with a lot of input from Rick, created this ski, and they just got it right. They got it dialed. For a first entry into the market, it's actually quite amazing. I mean, engineers in the motorbike and snowmobile world, and there's lots of engineers working on things for many hours that don't quite get it right, and these two guys did an amazing job. They're local boys. They actually live right out there in that valley. It's not too far from where I live. I live over in the other valley that way, but got to know these guys mainly through the ski. Rode with them, and after I posted my previous review, let me read a text I got from Rick. So he said, send me a text, and it reads, oh, hey Brian, this is Rick. I really dig your review video on the ski. That was Rick too. Man, a few words, but I didn't tell them that I was going to do a review. I just went out, took their ski, rode it some, and then did an introductory review, and I figured I'd come back and do another review. So here I am, almost a year later, and unfortunately Rick is no longer with us. So kind of in his memory, I'll dedicate this review to him, and I'm going to attempt to be really unbiased about the ski. I've ridden a lot of different skis, but I've really tested this one, put it through all of the rigors, have ridden it on everything in all conditions, everything from pavement, gravel, hard snow like this, deep powder, bottomless powder. I've ridden it in everything now, and so I'm confident in my review of the ski. Okay, so let me talk about different conditions I've had it out in, and I'll share some videos of those. But we have the crusty melt freeze crust, which I've talked about. I'm on that right now here, and I think I've covered that pretty well. It holds the line. Really the only downfall I see of the ski is sometimes you don't want it to hold the line. You want to get it off the line, and it will feel a bit sticky, like right here, going through that crust. It was sticky, but I've learned to you just gotta kind of muscle the bars, and once you get it on the path you want, between the throttle and the lean, you know, it gets the job done. So I figured it out, but sometimes I would like it to be a little less sticky, you know, and not have to push so hard with the bars. So that's really my one thing that I would like improved a little. So hopefully the guys, as they're going back to the drawing board, might fix a little bit of that. But it's really, I've learned it's more of a minor issue. I actually prefer the trustworthy line over anything. And you know, when you get to a steep slope like this and you want to hold it on the line, I'd prefer that over the stickiness that I talk about. So it's just you got to muscle the bars a little bit. So once you learn how much to push it, you get it back online, and it's all good. All right, on Snowbike, these trails, it's called, but it's actually a road. But trail riding is not the most fun thing, for sure, because of the ruts. I mean, just think about it, riding a motorbike down a extremely rutted, icy trail doesn't work out so good, because your bike wants to kind of follow these grooves and ruts and get you off balance. But this Quiver ski that I was raving about does a fantastic job of keeping the line going down these trails too. And you can even use some of the natural berms. I really haven't had any problems where I've lost control on the trail. So unbelievably stable, well done for trail riding. Okay, so in the trees, especially if you just get like 2 or 3 inches of snow on top of a firm snowpack, all of a sudden now you're having much fun. It doesn't take much snow, and then the ski just becomes amazing. And also in the spring, when the snow softens up. Again, once you get that slight the extra lubrication in there, extra substance, the extra snow, or if it's in the spring and it lightens up, then again it just does awesome. Also holds the line really well. That's just going to be a theme, and just about everything does really good. So right in here the snow is a little bit softer, and you know, it's easy to turn. Yeah. Woo! Oh, this Nemesis ski is so good. So if you're following a snowmobile track, it also does a really good job at kind of mashing through the chunks. And, you know, not ideal if you're snow biking. You kind of want to be on your own track like this, but sometimes you're following a group, and I found it does pretty dang good. So what happens in the deep powder? Well, it's great there too. It floats really good. I think it's an appropriate float for what your track needs. In other words, you're not it's not floating too high, nor is it going too low to cause extra trenching. And the steering is just amazing. You can still carve it up. You can still go across this side hill. It holds the line on that. Doesn't let your track wash out. This is awesome. Make it through this mess. I was hoping to be driving through this. So it's worth noting too, I've got an Air Pro on here. Stock forks, stock springs, but the Air Pro I usually run 15 to 20 on the Yamaha forks, stock forks. Yeah, this creek bed's filled in pretty good here. So the other thing I want to talk about is the abuse. The ski handles abuse very well. I have hit several things underneath the snow, and because the skags are so much shallower, it usually glances off rather than taking direct blows to the spindle. So I usually, like, if I hit something, I kind of just skate it across it rather than take a hard hit that just stops everything in place, like all the timber sled spindles I've been out with guys, seen them breaking their spindles, bending them, and I think these are my old snowbike tracks from several weeks ago. Kind of surprised at that. So I'm really impressed with how well it handles hard hits. I don't know that I've had something that was just like a really crazy, well, I know I haven't had a really crazy hit. so I'm sure, I know you can break anything, but I've just been impressed with how many things I have hit, and I just kind of scoot across it, even going over logs that you can see. It kind of hops over them, whereas when I had my timber sled ski, that deep skag in there would just instantly hit something and not want to go anywhere. So I'm pretty convinced that's what causes most of the problems with the broken spindles and other issues. So they got the blend right with this ski where it steers very well, yet doesn't have that aggressive of a keel underneath. One drawback is it's a little harder to pull your bike around with this ski, and I think some of it's kind of like I talk about the stiff steering when you're going slow. Also, there's just, I guess, enough surface area, and the ridges, rails are long enough that they have a little more contact area, so when you're yanking it around on the snow, trying to point in a different direction, I've found that some other skis are better at that. Like a Camzo ski, that was really easy to just rip your front end around and get it pointed. Okay, unfortunately, this ski is not immune to balling. We're almost getting to that condition right now where the snow surface is above freezing and the ski is below freezing. And when you stop, I call it balling up because that's what we call it when we backcountry skiing on our skins. Same element happens where the snow, because it's above freezing, when your ski gets on top of it, the snow underneath it, because the ski underneath is frozen, it actually freezes to the ski surface. So the snow is actually balled up in the channels. And most anyone that's snowbiked has experienced this at some point. It just incapacitates you. You gotta clean out the ridges or clean out those channels to get going again. Or if you're lucky, you can get moving fast enough that right away it just kind of rakes it out of there. So there's some things you can do to avoid that. One is park your ski in the shade. That helps. Park on a downhill too, so you can sometimes get going fast enough you knock it free before you start flailing out of control, because you will have no steering. You'll just kind of flop over. But then otherwise you gotta just flip the bike on its side and clean out those channels. So this ski does that too, but the real solution is to put a really good wax underneath it. You can hot wax it, just use any snowboarding wax. I use skin wax, Black Diamond Glop Stopper, and I keep that in my bag, so if I need to put some on out there in the field, that works. But otherwise, just hot waxing it at home is the solution. So pretty much all the skis that I know of will do that, and that's what I call balling up, and this ski does it also. But if you learn to manage it and also get some fresh wax on there, usually that solves most of your problems. Alright, just had it balled up, what I was talking about. So you can see there, I stopped where the sun had been hitting the snow, and it is caked on in there, so I should have waxed up a little better today. Actually, I haven't waxed it at all for a while, so I'm gonna have to manage it today. Okay, let's see if I can get up on this bench here. I think I'm making it. Whoa, tight.
This ain't the way it's supposed to be. BS. This ain't the way it's supposed to be.